Hello everyone. Chapter 4 Entrepreneurship suggests expansion and growth strategies of an enterprise. To expand or to grow are both positive aspects that give rise in the sales, rise in the market, and of course rise in the profit of any enterprise. An entrepreneur always look forward for the expansion and growth of his business. Franchising is one of the method to expand his business. Next is merger and then there is acquisition. We are going to learn about franchising, mergers, acquisitions, their types and the situations. Franchising is increasing the number of enterprise. We can also say that it is kind of duplicating the enterprise. Franchisor. Franchisor is a company, is a parent company which gives license to the franchisee company for using the trademarks and trade name for pursuing the business. Franchisee is the one who purchases the franchise business. So ultimately franchisor is the one who is selling his own business to other small business or to other businessmen so that they can run in the same manner, and franchisee is the one who purchases the business from the franchisor. So franchisor is a parent and franchisee we can say is a child who is purchasing and he is replicating the type of business which the franchisor is doing. Types of franchisees: business format franchisee, product franchisee and manufacturing franchisee. Business format franchisee is not only the distributors but they are doing implementation of the format of the franchisee's procedure and conducting of the business. You have seen McDonald's, you have seen Burger King, you have seen Subway, and you have seen that all these outlets are similar. They have similar type of counter, they have similar type of terminology. Every outlet you will find that the difference is only the area or the location. Once you enter that outlet, the furnishing, the procedure is all same. So that is business format franchisee. Here the entire type of business is replicated. It is a kind of duplication of their own enterprise. So same type of business is run by the other person under the same name, that is business format franchisee. Next is product franchisees. Franchise that simply sell the product of the franchisor and have supplier dealer relationship. Now product franchisees here they are not going to execute the work in the same manner the franchisor does. Simply they have to purchase the goods from the franchisor and sell it in the open market. So they are not giving their own inputs as far as production and service is concerned. They are simply selling the products. You can see many symbols here and they offer this product franchisees. Next is manufacturing franchises. Manufacturing is the process that converts raw materials into a finished goods. Similarly, the franchise is given to the manufacturer, but they want their production is to be done in the same manner they want, which converts raw material by processing and manufacturing the material for getting its real form. So manufacturing franchisee is that they are hiring or they are giving their business to the small manufacturers and then they are collectively selling under one name. Various famous franchisee, here you can see Subway, Dunkin Donuts, McDonald's, Denny's, Jimmy Jones, Hampton Inn. So these are the world famous franchisees and they are not only confined to any country but it is worldwide. Advantage of franchisee: less risk. Now if a single person is selling or conducting the same type of business in various places, he has to bear the risk of all the outlets. Instead in franchisee he is giving his business to some other person. So the other person is investing also and he is bearing the risk also. Proven idea. The one who is franchisor, he has already done the business. He know all the ifs and buts, pros and cons. He knows the technique, how to run the business. So it will, his expertise and his experience will benefit the franchisee to work in the same manner. So the idea is proven. Market share. Franchisor is already famous in the market. People know him very well. They want that same type of product or service near to their houses, near to their locality. So it will give a benefit to the public also as a customer. It will give the benefit to the franchisee also, that how they are going to take the share in the market. Recognized brand name. Of course, the goodwill, the prestige, the reputation that the franchisor is having is again forwarded to the franchisee and they will get a recognition in the market. See, there are certain disadvantages also. The disadvantages of franchising is lack of independence. The franchisee has to work according to the franchisor. Franchisees sometimes don't have the power of making crucial decisions. They have to follow what franchisor say. Cost may be higher. Sometimes the franchisor is having a goodwill in the market, for that he may charge more royalties, more share in commission, or they want certain standardization that a franchisee has to pay for that. The franchisee has to follow his rules and regulations, and it may be a costlier affair for a franchisee. Byproducts from franchisor. Byproducts which are ultimately not used. For example, if we talk about any restaurants, he has to purchase the supplies like tissue papers or paper rolls, or maybe the crockery from the franchisor only. It may be available at lower cost in their own locality, but they have to purchase from the franchisor. If we talk about McDonald's, so the supplies that are imported from USA, they are only used in the outlets in India. Indian outlet owners can purchase it in a local market at a lower price, but it is not allowed. So they are bound over there, and this is one of the limitation. Profit share. If the company is really very big, they have a goodwill in the market, the profit share is higher in that case. So the franchisee may have suffer the losses, or in the other hand, the franchisor have to give more amount of profit share to the franchisee. So in both the way, the profit is shared between franchisor and franchisee. So that is a not loss making affair, but that will be not that much fruitful. Inflexible nature. The flexibility lies only in the hand of franchisor. That means he will be making all the decision, and franchisee have to follow the decision. Agreement restriction. When they take up the franchisee agreement, they have lot many restrictions that they have to follow, as we have discussed earlier also, that they have to purchase simple supplies from the franchisor only. So it will be very difficult for them to continue in that restrictions, and yes, they have to follow the agreements and they have to follow the restrictions. Next important expansion of any enterprise is merger. Merger is an absorption of one or more companies by a single existing company. That means a strong or a profit making company can take over the smaller companies and then they form a bigger one. Merger is acquiring a company and acquired a company. A company which is acquiring a company is a single existing company that purchases the majority of equity share of one or more company. It is not that the acquiring company will purchase only one company's share. It may acquire more than one company's share. And acquired companies, on the other hand, are those companies that surrender the majority of their equity shares to an acquiring company. Example of a merger, here we can take a company A is acquiring company and company B is acquired company. So when these two companies are merging, merger of a company A and company B, this merger retains the name of acquiring company. Here the acquiring company is A. So when there will be a new company form, it will be always under the name of acquiring company. That means the company which is purchasing the maximum number of share of the acquired company. Types of mergers: horizontal merger, vertical merger, conglomerate merger, marketing extension merger that will only focus on improvement of their sales volume and to expand their market, and product extension merger, that means it will give the innovation to the existing product and it may customize the product as per the demand of the customers. Horizontal merger. A horizontal merger occurs when two or more firms in the same market producing substitute products join together to form a single firm. An example of horizontal merger is that of two soft drink companies. The firms are competitors producing similar products. So here you can see in horizontal merger, the companies which are dealing in the same type of business, maybe they are competitors, they merge and then they are converted into a big company. Vertical merger. A vertical merger is a merger between two companies producing different goods or services for one specific finished product. A vertical merger occurs when two or more firms operating at different levels within an industry's supply chain merge operations. Here they have given the example of Google and Facebook. We can take a layman example, like for a stitching unit, there is a cutting department and then there is a processing department and then there is a packaging department. So if these three departments are individual firms and then they have merged into one big firm, so that is a vertical merger, where the supply chain, where the various levels in the supply chain, they merge and they make the operations simple. Next is conglomerate merger. This is very interesting. Conglomerate merger is a merger in which the merging firms are not competitor but use common or related production process and or are marketing and distribution channels. That means they are not competitor. They may not produce same type of products, but their distribution channels are related. So they merge together and they get into a business expansion under the same name. Market extension merger. Market extension merger takes place between two companies that deal in the same product but in separate market. So they deal in the same type of product with the different names. So instead of that, they will join together and they'll frame a big firm, and that will be the extension in their market and that may increase in their sales volume. Product extension merger. Product extension merger takes place between two business organizations that deal in products that are related to each other and operate in the same market. Now in India, if we take an example of Patanjali, that is the best product extension merger. Patanjali has taken over many small firms, many local firms which are producing FMCG products, and it sells under the one name of Patanjali. So product extension merger means that covers many products under one name. Further in this chapter, we are going to learn about acquisition. Acquisition, you can see clearly that one company takes over the other company and declare in itself as the new owner. That is acquisition. Acquisition most of the time happens when the other company is either loss making or a sick unit. Types of acquisition are friendly acquisition, reverse acquisition, backflip acquisition and hostile acquisition. Friendly acquisition is when both the companies approve the acquisition under friendly terms. That means both the company acquired and acquiring both are agreeing upon the acquisition process. You can see the example of Johnson and Johnson purchasing the Crucial. Reverse acquisition is when a private company takes over a public company. You can see the example of US based broadband company purchasing a public company of a service provider of a North Korea. Backflip acquisition, that is the purchasing company becomes a subsidiary company of a purchase company. This happens when there is a transfer of ownership of shares. Here Texas Air Composites has purchased the share of Continental Airlines and they become subsidiary company. Hostile acquisition is the entire process is done by force. This is happening when the ownership exceeds over 50% of the ownership rights. Here you can see the example of Oracle. They have purchased the software company PeopleSoft. Benefits of mergers and acquisition. Greater value generation. Merger and acquisition generally succeed in the generating cost efficiency through the implementation of economies of scale. Economies of scale means when the volume of business is big, the cost is per unit less. Gaining cost efficiency. The joint companies benefits in terms of cost efficiency as the two firms form new bigger company. When more number of people, more number of managerial skill and more investments combined together, they are going to get the cost efficiency. Increase in the market share, as we know that expansion is there and the increase in market is there. So they will be having a collective share in the market that will increase. Gain higher competitiveness. Now we are making our competitors into our own company. So the competitiveness increases and the other firm will be facing more competition. The new firm is usually more cost efficient and competitive. The efficiency of course is going to increase and the financial weakness that the subsidiary company or the acquired company will be overcome by acquiring company. Problems. Integration difficulties. When the management is all together different and they have to work under different rules and regulations, then there will be conflicts. Large or extraordinary debt. Sometimes it happens the acquiring company has to fulfill all the liabilities of acquired company and vice versa. Managers overly focus on acquisition. Managers, the ones who are managing, they simply focus on acquisition and they don't focus about the after effects of acquisition, how they are going to manage the entire staff. Overly diversified. This is again depending on the situation, that when the company, what is the market situation, what are the taxability, what are the government rules and regulations. So it depends on the situation of both the companies and it is diversified. In some cases the merger and acquisition may work, in some cases the merger and acquisition may not work. Next in this chapter we are going to learn about what is value addition. Value addition, that means any raw material is processed and converted into a finished goods. We can take an example of a rock and then that rock is carved and converted into a sculpture. Okay, it is for a decoration purpose. We can take another example of wood. A piece of wood is not as useful as when it is cut, processed and converted into a piece of furniture, maybe a duster, maybe a pencil that you use. So basically addition of value is adding value to a raw product or a raw material by taking it into at least the next stage of production. What creates added value? Quality. Does the meat exceed customers' expectation? That means if you talk about a raw rice or a grain from directly farm, it won't fetch that much value to a farmer than a rice mill owner. The rice processing mill owner purchases the raw rice from the fields from the farmer. It undergoes the process in such a manner that the quality of rice improves, and then he can fetch more amount of price for the same rice. That is quality. Next is functionality. That means, does it provide the needed function? We talk about a pencil, then if the lead of the pencil is not working properly, or the ink of a pen is not that much fluid, then it is not meeting up the function, it is not doing for the purpose what it is made for. Form, useful form. Now if we talk about ice, in some cases ice is required. If we have plenty of water, but when we are in need of ice, the water doesn't help us. So changing the form, that also adds the utility, or that adds the value to the product. Next is place. Is it in the right place? What is the work of a commerce or a trade? To improve its place utility. That means from the place of plenty to the place of scarcity. If you talk about desert, there is all the way sand. But if we want that sand for construction purpose, it is to be brought from deserts, processed, cleaned, and then it is reached to the construction site. Time, is it in the right time? That means whether the product is meeting up the time utility. Time, that means when actually the product is required, is it available? Then ease of possession, is it easy to for a customer to obtain it? That means, is it easy for a customer to buy it? Again we talk about the supply chain, whether the product that is required is available in the market or not. So all these things adds up the value of a product or a service. Creating a value added product. What is the process of adding value to the product? First of all, procurements of the inputs. What all things are required to improve the quality or improve the utility of the product, that should be procured. Converting inputs into products, then actual implementation. Marketing and sales. Now we on and off see in the advertisement that now improved version of so and so product. That means what all inputs are added to improve the value, those things are marketed also. Supply chain logistics, again we talk about the availability, that at every nook and corner of particular city one product is available. If we talk about any renowned company's product, it is available throughout the nation. We can take example of Parle-G, right? The Parle-G that we often eat, the biscuit is available directly in the north, it is available at down south, and if we go to any rural village or any advanced or modernized city, it is available everywhere. That means the supply chain or the logistic of that particular company is very good. Customer service activities. It includes after sales services, it includes all the detailed information that is marked on the product, the pack of the product, the information, the expiry date, the manufacturing date, the number, batch number, retail price, tax, everything is mentioned on the product. That is again for giving information to the customer. So customer service activities, that is available. Also they provide a helpline number. That means if a product has something that is not appropriate, or if there is complaint for the product, the customer can directly talk to the customer service activities. Now what is value chain? Value chain includes mainly two categories. It has primary activity and support activity. Value chain is concentrating on activities starting with raw materials till conversion into final goods or services. First of all, the primary activity, that is inbound logistics, that means procurement of raw materials. Operation, that means processing on that. Outbound logistics, that means once the product is finished, that means the product is ready to use, it is sent to the various supply chain like wholesaler, or then further to the agents, and then further to the retailers. Sales and marketing. Sales and marketing does not only include the supply, the distribution, but also includes the promotion of the product also. To making the customer aware about the products, to making the customer know about the advantages of the products, and to make the customer habitual with the product. That means they become brand loyal maybe, or they are only buying such products of the company and not the competitors product. That means to making them aware about the USP of the product, that is unique selling property of the product. Service and support. Once the products are sold in the market, once the customers are in possession of the goods, then if anything goes wrong, or if the product is under a warranty or a guarantee period, their grievances are solved. So that is also a primary activity. Support activity, that means human resource. Now all these primary activities are undertaken by human beings, by the personnel, by experts, by engineers, and the experts in their fields like the distribution purpose people, distributors. So these general and admin human resources are to be taken into consideration, and their efficiency is ensured. Tech development, if we talk about technology used either in the production or for the marketing or for the advertisement, the technical support should be there, and every now and then as per the upgradation of technology it should be upgraded. Then procurement. Now all these things are required. From where do we get the efficient management? From where do we get the proper resources? So proper procurement also should be there. Primary activities, as we have already discussed about inbound, this concerned with receiving, storing, distributing, handling of raw materials, warehousing, inventory control. Operations, that means comprise the transformation of the inputs into final product, that means production, if it is assembling or it is simply packaging. Outbound logistics, that means that involves the collecting, storing, distributing products to the buyers, that is processing of orders, warehousing of finished goods and delivery. Marketing and sales, again advertisement, promotion, distribution. And service, that is installation, repair, maintenance and training. Support activity, that means infrastructure, very important. Is the company or the firm or a factory is competent enough for the proper organization of the activities or not? Human resource management, that means hiring and recruiting the proper person for a proper required task, and again their development and proper compensation. Technology, as we have discussed, the technology is used everywhere. If we talk about the production or we talk about the advertisement, the technology is required. So the technology is again developed. And procurement, such as raw material inputs, raw materials, equipments and labor, everything should be procured in a proper manner. The firm as a value chain, primary and support activities. It has a value chain. First of all, they design a product, then they work on the product, then outbound logistics, marketing and service. Now product designing is involved with the support activity, material and equipment. When we are doing operations, that means processing is done, firm's infrastructure is required, that is the labor, the machinery and the industry or the factory outlet. Outbound logistics and marketing, where human resources required, and service, where the system and solution, that means technology is required. So firm has a value chain where the primary and support activities go hand in hand. For conducting one primary activity, it has a consecutive support activity which will go hand in hand and make the value chain possible. I hope you have cleared about the value chain. Now we will see in a different manner that product and customer. From product, the customers, the value chain goes in such a manner: supplier alignment, product development, innovation, planning, customers, then material support, logistics, production, sales and marketing, and customers. So ultimately, from a material or an assigned raw materials, the supply chain make it happen to customer to reach out their proper product what they want. So value chain and supply chain goes hand in hand. Value chain improves the quality, improves the utility of the product, and supply chain improves the place utility of the product. This is all for the chapter that we have learned. In chapter 4, we have learnt about merger, we have learnt about acquisition, we have learnt about franchisee, and at the end we have learnt about value chain. Thank you.